Fire wasn't a tool, it was a weapon it first threatened, then saved us. Picture yourself 2 million years ago. You live in a world without fire. Night falls, and the only light comes from the stars. You fear the dark. You fear what hides in it. But you fear fire most of all. Flames are pure destruction. But is that all? They consume whole forests. They turn your shelter to ash. You have seen animals run screaming from them. Fire is not a friend. The truth is worse. It is a monster that breathes death. So you eat everything raw. Meat is chewed cold and bloody. Roots are scraped and bitten. Imagine chewing cold meat every day. Seeds are crushed between your teeth. It takes hours each day just to get enough energy to survive. Yet it gets worse. Early hominins had jaws so powerful they could crack open bones. Their molars were huge. But that strength had a price. Chewing raw meat and tough plants wore their teeth down by age 30. Think about that. A lifetime of chewing. A lifetime of struggle for every meal. And still, the raw food you eat does not give enough energy. It is not enough to support a larger brain. This is the world before fire. Slow, brutal, held back by the limits of raw food. But raw food came at a hidden cost that would eventually catch up to them. Each bite of raw meat you take comes with passengers, microscopic invaders, parasites like trichinella, toxins from spoiled plants. Your body fights a constant war. Your immune system is always on. You chew, you swallow. But your stomach works twice as hard. Digesting raw food takes enormous energy. Your body spends up to 20% of its calories on digestion alone. Yet your brain pays the price. You have less energy for thinking, less for running, less for surviving. Now, consider the toxins. The toxins build up over time. Raw eggs carry salmonella. Raw tubers have natural pesticides. Here's the thing, your body can't keep up. Your liver struggles to filter it all. You get sick more often, you heal slower. But the game isn't over yet. Each meal is a gamble. Now consider the season. Winter means less food. You store fat, but raw fat is hard to digest. Your body expends more calories staying warm. A single bad meal can tip the balance. You starve, you die. This hidden danger stayed invisible for millennia. You did not know why you felt weak, why your children died young. But the solution to this danger was hiding in the very thing they feared most. Then came the accident. A carcass fell into flames. The meat changed. What if they dared taste it? That first bite unlocked something new. Parasites died, toxins broke down, digestion became easier. Yet the remedy was what they feared most. You tasted the cooked meat. You knew what fire could do. But fire still terrified you. It was wild. It could burn you alive. You had to learn to control it. Now, picture the danger. You started by watching lightning strikes. You saw the flames consume the brush. You saw animals flee. Then you saw the smoke clear. You approached carefully. You felt the heat on your face. You picked up a burning branch. But was it worth the risk? You took it back to your camp. You fed it dry grass. You fed it twigs. You blew gently. The ember glowed. You did not let it die. You guarded it day and night. Here's the thing. It was all-consuming. Rain was your enemy. Wind was your enemy. One mistake and you were back in the dark. This was not a single moment. It took generations. You learned which wood burns longest. Yet it demanded patience. You learned how to bank the coals. You learned to share the flame. Fire became your companion. But it was fragile. One storm could erase all progress. You had to start again. The oldest hearths we have found are 400,000 years old. Think about that. For hundreds of millennia before, people must have struggled to keep fire alive. They lost it. They found it again. They lost it again. Every time the fire went out, you lost your protector. Your food returned to raw. Your night returned to cold. You could not afford to fail. But you kept trying. You kept the ember close. You learned to read the smoke. You learned when to feed and when to wait. Then something shifted. You no longer feared it. You could make it. You could call fire when you needed it. That was the first real victory. Once they mastered it, they discovered something that changed everything. Not just warmth, but transformation. You place a piece of raw meat near the flames. Watch it change. The surface sizzles. A color shift begins, gray to brown. You didn't know it yet, but you just started a chemical revolution. But the change is just beginning. Heat attacks food at the molecular level. Proteins are long, folded chains. In raw meat, they are tightly coiled. Your stomach struggles to break them apart. Fire unwinds those coils. Here's the kicker. It's not just about cooking. The chains loosen, straighten, then tangle again, differently. That is denaturation. It happens when the temperature climbs past 40 degrees Celsius. Now the protein is soft. Your digestive enzymes can reach every link. You'll absorb more amino acids from less work. A raw steak yields maybe 70% usable protein. A cooked one pushes past 90%. Starch goes through its own transformation. Potatoes, grains, tubers, they store energy as starch granules. Those granules are crystalline. Crystalline means locked tight. Water cannot get in. Your gut cannot get in. Heat changes that. Now picture the granules. At around 60 degrees Celsius, the granules absorb water. They swell and burst. The starch becomes a gel. Gelatinization, they call it. Suddenly, you can digest it. You get glucose, quick energy, without the bloating. One cooked food delivered more calories than 2 raw ones. Your ancestors felt the difference. They needed less chewing, less gut time. More fuel for the brain. Yet your ancestors seized that advantage. A single cooked meal could power a hunt, or a long walk, or a night of thinking by the fire. You had more energy than you ever had raw. But here is the strange part. That excess energy changed something inside you. Not just your strength. Your entire digestive system began to shrink. Less gut meant more energy for something else. What happened inside their bodies next was even more remarkable and completely unexpected. That energy freed up resources. The gut had been a hungry organ. Large intestines burned calories just to maintain themselves. Now smaller guts required less upkeep. The energy saved went elsewhere. It fed a growing brain. Your ancestors' skulls expanded. Their cognitive capacity increased. They could plan, they could remember, they could share knowledge. But there was a hidden trade-off. Cooked food was soft. Soft food required less chewing. Less chewing meant weaker jaws. Faces grew smaller. Teeth became more crowded. Wisdom teeth often got stuck. Dental problems emerged. But evolution had other plans. Still, the benefits outweighed the costs. More calories meant larger populations. Larger populations meant more ideas. More ideas meant faster innovation. Cooking itself improved. Better fire control. New techniques. Boiling, roasting, baking. Each technique unlocked more nutrients. Each nutrient fed the brain further. A feedback loop began. Picture the spiral. Cooking made humans smarter. Smarter humans cooked better. Better cooking made humans even smarter. The cycle accelerated. It reshaped not just diet, but the entire species. Cooking changed your body from the inside out. Your gut became smaller. Your teeth got smaller too. Your jaw lost its power. Less chewing meant less energy spent on digestion. The gut shrank. That saved a massive amount of calories. Where did those calories go? Straight to your brain. Your brain uses 20% of your energy. It is only 2% of your body weight. Cooking made that possible. You could now afford a larger brain without eating constantly. Your ancestors' skulls expanded, their faces flattened, their jaws pulled back. They lost the heavy brow ridge. They gained more space for thinking. But look closer at the gut change. A smaller gut meant weaker protection against toxins. Cooked food had already killed most of them. Your body no longer needed a fortress inside. You became more vulnerable to raw food. But you also became more efficient. This trade-off worked because you controlled the fire. Now think about eating. You could not eat cooked food on the move. You had to sit down. You had to share. A carcass was too large for one person. Cooking forced you to cooperate. Was it that simple? Someone had to tend the fire. Someone had to process the meat. Someone watched the children. Division of labor appeared. Now consider the consequences. You began to eat at set times. You began to wait. Waiting taught patience. Patience allowed planning. Here's the thing. Planning changed your brain. These were not just physical shifts. They rewired your relationships. Imagine the conversations. You stopped eating alone. You started eating in groups around the fire. Faces lit by flame, eyes meeting. But were you aware? That circle of light became the first kitchen, the first table, the first classroom. Yet it was more than a classroom. You learned to read each other's expressions while you ate. You learned to share stories. You learned to trust. The truth is, you were becoming human. The body adapted, the gut shrank, the brain grew, the mouth softened. But these physical changes were only half the story. The real revolution was in their minds. The fire became the center of everything. You gathered around it at dusk. Not just for warmth or protection. You brought food to share. This was a new kind of meal. Raw food took no preparation. You ate alone or in silence. Cooked food demanded time. Time to prepare, time to wait. Time to watch the flames. What do you do while you wait? You talk. Cooking demanded language. You needed words for fire and heat. Raw food requires no recipe, no instruction, no negotiation. Cooked food requires coordination. Who tends the fire? Who watches the pot? When is it ready? These questions forced communication. And communication forced grammar. You needed words for time, for temperature, for taste, for not yet and enough. The shared meal created a shared world. You learned to plan together, to remember past meals, to imagine future ones. That is the foundation of culture. But there is a deeper truth. Chimpanzees spend 6 hours a day chewing. Raw food is work. But imagine a world without it. Cooking freed your hands. It freed your mouth. Now think about what that means. It freed your mind. You could now sit and stare. Yet the story doesn't end there. You could tell stories. You could teach your children. Worse, no time for thought. Without cooking, you would spend hours each day just eating. That left no time for anything else. No time for art. No time for tools. No time for each other. So, what did you do with it? Cooking gave you time. It gave you the fire. And the fire gave you home. Picture the scene. The hearth became the first classroom. Children learned by watching. Elders passed down knowledge. Here's the thing. Every pinch told a story. Spices were added. Rituals formed. Cooking became identity. The truth is, cooking defined you. Your tribe was defined by what you cooked. How you cooked it. When you ate it. What did that mean for your calendar? Fire shaped your sense of time, of season, of celebration. Imagine you forgot. Every meal was a lesson. Every meal was a bond. No, it did something deeper. The fire did not just cook your food. It forged your community.